Hey everybody, Stel here from the Shoot Style Sauna here with my review of WWE Hell in a Cell 2020. This show, even though it had about 5 matches on paper going into the show, it was still a relatively eventful show. Lots of cell matches to break down. We got 3 of them to talk about in this review. Lots of some undercard stuff, some storyline developments across both shows, but I think we all know the drill at this point. We go through match by match, talk about what happened, give it a star rating, and at the very end we will name the show grade, the match of the night, and our MVP. And also, as a disclaimer, there is no inclusion of the kickoff show in this review, only the main card. So, without further ado, let's review Hell in a Cell 2020. In a rematch of Clash of Champions 2020, we have the Universal Championship match opening Hell in a Cell between the champion, Roman Reigns, and once again, his cousin, Jey Uso. This match really continuing from the family storyline, focusing on if Jey is going to call Roman the tribal chief and the head of the table of the family, and Roman setting stipulations that if Jey does not listen, he will be cast out. Their relatives, their siblings, everybody in the Uso side of the family will be cast out of the Anoa'i family. So here we are now. Again, this is a Hell in a Cell match with the I Quit stipulation. This match has a lot of similarities to the Clash of Champions match. There's a lot of verbal exchanges between you. That's how the match starts. There's a lot of talking back and forth, and oh boy, this is still not a good sign for Jey. It's very Roman dominant at the beginning. Roman really just tries to take control. He keeps Jey down. Lots of pretty standard stuff that we saw at Clash of Champions. Jey finally gets back into the match. He's able to drive Roman to the cell wall on the outside. He starts to fight back, but even with this, Roman still finds a way. He hits a spear right back inside the ring when Jey gets something going, and well, so much for that comeback. There's more dialoguing from Roman, just talking about why this is dumb of him, why he should have stayed at home. Roman then brings a chair into the match, hits another spear on Jey, and Jey is already really hurting. We're like 10 minutes into the match, and it's already not looking great for Jey, and there's still more monologuing. And then Roman, one of the key lines that he says is that you're making me a bad guy by making me do this. He really wants Jey to just stop before it gets even worse, but still Jey refuses, as he does not say I quit at this point. He's able to fight back. He gets 2 Uso splashes in. Roman sells well, but of course he's not going to quit. I mean, are we surprised by this? I wasn't. Jey goes under the ring. He finds a leather strap. Yeah, I did not expect this going into the show. And oh boys, it's whipping time, as Heyman just looks on in shock as Roman just eats these leather straps out to the back. But he's able to absorb them, hits another spear on Jey. Roman does sell, so he takes a little bit to get back up. Jey is still refusing to quit, and then Roman, he just kind of tees off on Jey with the leather strap. It's pretty brutal to watch. It's like the equivalent of seeing Walter chop somebody over and over again. Sorry, Ilya Dragunov, if you're not watching this. And then we see more whipping, and Roman eventually ties Jey's wrist to the strap too, and so he can't run away from it. And it's bad. Jey's able to fight back, and eventually he gets Roman into a chokehold with the strap. This is very good. Roman fades away 2 times. He's able to come back into the match. He doesn't quit, so that's good. Jey, he has Roman neutralized for a bit. He hopes to get a steel chair, but before he could swing, Roman hits with a Superman punch. He goes down, and then he puts Jey in the guillotine choke, and this is where Jey really goes prone for a lot of the match. Jey becomes motionless, but however, he does not quit. The referee keeps trying to ask Jey if he wants to quit, and Jey's just not responding. I thought that was pretty hilarious. It's he's not going to answer you, ref, and he's just going off so many times seeing if Jey's going to quit, but he doesn't get anything from him. And as Roman's sitting there, he's saying more things. He's saying, just don't make me do this, Jey, and if you don't quit, I'm gonna take this to the next level. And when he said next level, oh boy, this is gonna get pretty ow, as he sets Jey up on the apron. He hits his drive-by drop kick that we see him do in the past multiple times, but he wants to take it even further, as he said. So Roman gets the steel steps. He presses Jey's head between the steps and the ring post that's next to him, and then he stops. The ref's telling him, no, don't do this, and then he hits another drive-by, pressing the steps into Jey's head, and Jey's is completely out of it at this point. He's even more unresponsive than he was earlier, and it just gets more and more real. Roman comes back in the ring with the steps that he just used on Jey, holds it over Jey's head like he's gonna decapitate him, but then it gets even more real, as back backstage agents, we Adam Pearson, but more other like suits in the back. They come out, they tell Roman to stop. Eventually, there's a lot of banter, a lot of back and forth. They all leave the ring afterwards. Roman just stops, and as he's going to go for it, Jimmy Uso runs down to make the save. He covers his brother, much like what happened to Clash Champions. However, there's no towel this time. Jimmy and Roman, they shared this really emotional moment, talking like, we can talk this through, Roman. Please don't do this to Jay. Look at him. He's just in such a bad way right now. Roman comes down to his knees. You can see like there's tears. He's really sung so well emotionally. And him and Jimmy, they lock arms. However, it was all a ruse. As Roman locks in the guillotine, Jay slowly begins to come back to us. He gains his senses back. He sees that Jimmy, who is still injured, by the way, with the knee injury, he is locked in the guillotine, and Jay just can't stand it. He looks over and he just says, I quit. He says, I quit like 3 times, and the match is over. Roman then lets go of the hold, and then the two brothers, they embrace, they really tend to the wounds that he suffered in this match. Jay especially, props to Jey Uso for what happened in this match, but the segment doesn't really end there, as Reigns then, he does the same thing happened to Clash. He holds the belt up over the two brothers as they really get their bearings back together, but Roman leaves the ring, he walks up the ramp, and who is at the top of the ramp but Afa and Sika and Hawaii, Roman's family, with leis on them, dressed in appropriate attire. They look at Roman, they give him a new lei as he is crowned the tribal chief and the head of the table in the Anoa'i family. So I am surprised, because I didn't think that this would top what we saw at Clash of Champions, but oh my god, they went out there and they did exactly that. And you know what, guys? You know what rating this gets? This is a 5-star match. Yeah, this match is not your most technical masterpiece. It's just a really great example of professional wrestling. There's the story, there's the action, there's the character moments between both Jay, Roman, Heyman. The referee even got involved at some point, even though he was being really stupid, if I'm being honest. And all the suits come out just to see what the hell's going on with Jay. It was such a good way to finish this storyline. And I'm so excited to see what this leads to, because I know for a stipulation, now that Jay lost, that him and Jimmy will have to work alongside Roman no matter what. So where this goes from here, it's going to be really interesting. But hey, again, 5-star match. It had everything going on. What a wonderful match. What a way to start the show as well. But wow, if you haven't seen this match yet, please go on the network and watch this match. It is fantastic. Probably my favorite one-on-one match of the entire year. It's hard to say this is the match of the year, because I'm also going to be thinking about the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page from Revolution. It's one of those two at this point. I'm going to think about that more, and stay tuned for the shooties when those roll around for what my final answer is. Okay, so following that match of the year candidate, next up it is Elias versus Jeff Hardy. This match dating back to, I think, what, May was it, when this whole thing started on SmackDown with like the who took out Elias and like the whole car storyline, and it was revealed to be Sheamus in the end. Here we are now, all this time later. They have both since moved to Raw in the WWE draft, and now Elias is coming after Jeff for what happened back then. Elias, he's back to being a heel, which I think is better for him. He does typical heel shit before the match, running down Jeff. He does make a couple drug usage and like alcohol references to Jeff in his past, so a bit on there, not a great moment there. Jeff comes down, he attacks Elias. It's pretty back and forth, this match. Both guys get some good offense in. They head to the outside for a bit. Jeff sets for a poetry in motion, but he steps off the steps and he eats all of a barricade. Ooh, really rough looking spot there for Jeff. Elias has a lot of control from here. Jeff's able to fire back with a lot of signature offense, but as he's going through a twist of fate, Elias catches him, puts him in the spinning powerbomb. That was a really cool moment there. Jeff eventually is able to fight back again, hits a whisper in the wind, another near fall, and as Jeff goes for a swanton bomb, Elias rolls to the outside. Jeff gets down, he heads to the floor, but Elias has his guitar in hand. However, Jeff takes it and hits Elias, and Elias wins via disqualification. And we kind of just, Jeff, he gets like the moral victory, I guess, but that's really just about it, and that's how we end that. I'm gonna give it 1.5 stars out of 5. Elias did this good heel shtick, it was a bit on the nose with that one. Pretty like TV standard match, not a lot to it. I don't think this feud is definitely over. There's gonna be more to this on Raw, I'm sure, but hey, I know there's a lot in store for Elias if reports are being believed. So okay, off match, I'm sure it's more of like a cool down match for what the first match was, because the whole half hour is like that insane match. So yeah, again, not much to the match, not much of substance, but I'm sure this will continue from here. Next up, for the Money in the Bank contract, it is Mr. Money in the Bank Otis taking on The Miz. This match stemming from an angle on SmackDown where The Miz, Otis, Tucker, and Morrison were all in pretty much wrestler's court, with JBL as the judge, and you had appearances by Teddy Long and Ron Simmons also acting there, which I thought was pretty entertaining stuff looking back. But here we are, all culminating in this match here. Looking at this match, it's very fast start. Otis dominates Miz a lot because he has the beat advantage, so good for Otis there. Miz, his strategy, it's like he tries to stay out of Otis's way, but he can't really go anywhere. But John Morrison is the big thing for Miz. He helps out Miz a lot during this match, finding ways to help him out, and Miz finds openings off this and gets control of his signature offense. However, that's not enough as Otis takes control. He gets Miz set up for the Caterpillar, but again, Morrison comes in once more. However, as he's threatening to hit Otis with the briefcase, you see the referee eject Morrison. He's gone. Miz is kind of down for the count at this point. However, as Otis is looking to finish the match, we see Tucker take the briefcase and hit Otis in the head with it. And you know what this leads to? Miz wins the match and is now Mr. Money in the Bank. Did I expect Miz to win like this? Nope. I thought it'd be a way more like pretty standard finish between Miz and Morrison costing Otis, but no. Otis' best friend cost him the match, and Miz has the briefcase now. We're not done there as we go backstage and see Kayla asking Tucker why he did what he did, and Tucker goes on about how he was always the workhorse in heavy machinery. He did all the stuff for Otis and he worked alongside him, and Otis could not get the job done without him. And Otis hears it, he jumps Tucker. He also takes out Miz and Morrison, but they kind of run away after the segment. It's just a big brawl between Otis and Tucker. They fight, it's like, I think like a bar area in the venue, I think it is, but then we fade to black. I'm gonna give this whole segment 2.25 stars out of 5. The match was really kind of like a TV match, not a lot to it. Heel interference, you know, Morrison's competent. The big betrayal is like the big shock to me, and I think the right result happened here. I do think Miz with the briefcase is the right choice. I think you can get more out of Miz with the briefcase than you can with Otis. I think he's a more believable top guy at this point in his career, and I'm also intrigued to see what Tucker does because I actually kind of like this new Tucker persona that's going to happen. But now that Tucker is on Raw, are they going to feud? I'm not sure. Are they going to feud over stakes and weights and who gets the better like ownership of those? We'll see. Interesting results coming out of this match, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. Next up, we have your second Hell in a Cell match of the evening, as it is the SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley defending against her former best friend Sasha Banks. Long and storied history between these two, dating back to their days in NXT, all their time as a tag team on Raw and SmackDown, all culminating with this big match here at Hell in a Cell with the stipulation. Very fitting, I think. We see Bayley come down with her personal steel chair, but before the bell even rings, Sasha gets rid of that chair. It's gone. It's by like the ramp at this point. So yeah, Sasha dominates a lot of the early parts of this match. She actually hits Bayley in the banks even like almost immediately, but because it's the cell, Bayley bites her way out of it. That's totally fine, and they fight around the ringside area. Bayley tries to get a kendo stick. It happens again. That kendo stick is gone off the announce table, and Corey and Cole make a comment about this. So they use a lot of the cell environment to their advantage here. We see Sasha really show up a lot of her agility and like knowledge of being in a cell match 3 times at this point by showing off what she can do. We see her all these different meteors. She hits one off a table. So what happens is that Sasha drives the table into Bayley against the cell wall. Then she jumps off the table and meteors Bayley into it, and that's just one of the great spots in this match. This match is a destructive like spot fest at times. It's really fun to watch, and there's more, and Bayley actually gets her own half of it as she sets up these 2 kendo sticks on the steel steps, and then she drop toe holds Sasha into the kendo sticks. Like, ooh, it's looking pretty rough, and we see more kendo stick offense from the 2 of them. As we get back into the ring, Sasha gains control once more. How do you ask? Why? Only a sunset flip powerbomb into the cell wall, of course. You know, you see that every day. Like, okay, that's cool. But it's all okay. Bayley gets advantage again as she gets into the ring, and then she puts Sasha into the seat of a steel chair and hits. Oh, no, here's what happens. Excuse me about that. She puts the steel chair in the corner, and then she does her sunset flip powerbomb like she does in the corner into there. So, you know, pretty usual stuff with that. And there's a lot of downtime here as it's this weird spot where Bayley gets 2 kendo sticks. She ducks it together. So I'm thinking like she's gonna do like a Darth Maul and like wheel like a double-ended kendo stick, but no, she's trying to set up a kendo stick bridge. But you know, the kendo sticks say, "I am the kendo stick." And I kind of just forgotten about the rest of the match, so that kind of hurts the flow, but it's not that bad. As she heads back, there's a fire extinguisher from Sasha Banks, and now Bayley, as she's blind, she heads over to the door. She finally gets her personal steel chair back, and then As she's trying to do it, Sasha takes it away, and she kind of just takes down Bayley with a lot of strikes. Oh, there's another Meteor, by the way. I'm sure Shima is very pleased with this. And more kendo stick shots, and we see her go for a frog splash, but Bayley has her chair back, and she counters it. They kind of both eat the impact from it, so they both sell for a little bit. We get a rose plant on the outside, only a near fall. That's a bit of a surprise considering how well protected that finisher has been throughout the year. But now we get a ladder into the match. This is exciting. Bayley goes for the big Macho Man elbow, but Sasha dodges that. She hits Bayley with a Bayley to belly onto the ladder, only a near fall. Bayley gets one of her own, so a bit of a trading finishers here. Both of them don't get the fall in the end. So as we get to the climax of the match, Bayley gets her chair once more. She sets up for a chair, sets the Bayley to belly with it, but Sasha grabs it. She counters, she puts Bayley's head through the chair seat, gets her the bank statement, and then she takes her free leg and she constantly stomps Bayley's head into the chair seat, and Bayley eventually she taps out due to all the pain. This is actually a callback to one of their NXT TakeOver matches. I believe it's from TakeOver Brooklyn, where Sasha did the same thing to Bayley there, just without a chair. And that's how we end the match. Bayley submits, and we have a brand new SmackDown Women's Champion, about a year in the making since Bayley won it on SmackDown on the draft. So I'm gonna give this match 4.5 stars out of 5. Great innovation showed by both women in this match. Sasha especially gets a lot of points for all like her agility, her way to use Stel time, because she's been in this match 3 times at this point. She's 0-2, but now she actually gets the win on her 3rd try. So congratulations to Sasha Banks for putting on a great match of her best friend. One of the better women's matches of the years, I will say that too. A lot of fun, the right result, and what happens from here? Is this feud over? It's hard to say. This was a very decisive way to wrap things up. I think there might be more. They might take a break for a bit. Maybe like Bayley will take some time off. Maybe. I doubt that though, because how much of a workhorse she has been. But hey, again, great match. Another great cell match on the night. And we have one more to go in the main event, but we have one more stop before we get there. Let's talk about that next. Next up, we cut to the Hurt Business backstage. They're talking about a open challenge laid up by Mustafa Ali on the kickoff show. What happened was that Mustafa Ali talked about how he wanted to have someone from the Hurt Business against someone from Retribution. And so MVP and the crew have talked about this, and after taking some tidbit from Shelton Benjamin, almost Lashley there, my bad, so they select Lashley to face off with SLAPJACK for the United States Championship. However, MVP also asked from Ali for nobody to interfere in the match and for it to be for the title. This match, it's pretty standard stuff. Lashley dominates a lot of the early match. We see a couple of hope spots from SLAPJACK. You get like a spinning DDT from him. We see some strikes, some fast-paced offense. However, Lashley's able to take control, hits a belly to belly, hits one arm choke slam, puts on the Hurt Lock, and gets an easy win for the Hurt Business. However, we're not done there, as almost immediately after the match is over, Rest Retribution come in, they all attack Lashley before the Hurt Business come out, they help Lashley out and send Retribution packing. There's some banter between both sides, and then we fade to black. I'm gonna give it 1.5 stars out of 5. Not a lot to it. I think this is more of like a time filler before we get to the main event in the show. It does further the angle between the Hurt Business and Retribution. However, it does make Retribution look more weak because they sent somebody just to lose to Lashley in about 5 minutes. Not a great look considering they also lost their first big match on TV already. So I am curious to see how they're gonna save this the best they can. We're just gonna continue to bury them. It's not been going great. I'm hopeful for Ali to make this work. I'm still pulling out faith for him, but it's just not looking great right now, and the Hurt Business continue to look really, really strong. So hey, good for one side, bad for the other. In your main event of Hell in a Cell, it is the WWE Championship match between the champion Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. This match continuing off of their feud from SummerSlam and Clash of Champions. A bit of a curious choice if you ask me. This feud was on its last legs back at Clash, but here we are once more for the championship, this time in the Devil's Playground. Before the match, Orton doesn't do an entrance as Drew comes out first. He sneaks up on Drew as a cameraman and they fight around the cell. Pretty standard stuff, pretty back and forth stuff here. They get into the cell and it's all Drew from here. He kind of just beats Orton around the entire cell, throwing him into the wall, talking to him, and he eventually gets him in the ring after a lot of power-based offense. Sets up for the Claymore. However, Orton gets a chair shot to the leg on Drew, and it's all Orton from here on out. Little spots here, we see a lot of steel steps action. One of the big moments is that Orton takes Drew's head and just stomps on it on the steel steps. Pretty of a, it was a big ow moment. You could hear the thud of it throughout the arena. They throw each other around the cell, and lots of steel step action here before they get to one side. You see Orton thumb Drew in the eye, and then he tosses him. It's like this propped up steel step like against the cell wall. It's a really nasty looking bump. Shoulder first goes Drew. Back in the ring, it's really back and forth stuff here. Drew takes advantage, hits a couple of belly to bellies, goes for the Claymore, but again, Orton counters, but Drew eventually hits a float over neck breaker. Orton just heads outside to recover himself once more. Drew follows him, belly to belly through a prop up table against the cell, kind of like the steps earlier, but this time it's a table, and it breaks. Very cool stuff there. Back in the ring, Orton hits a low blow on Drew and hits an apron DDT, but Drew kicks out at 1. Not the first time that's happened in the match, but you know, this is a big moment. I thought it was a bit much in how like protected the low blow can be at times, but hey, the match continues from here. As Drew is down, Orton gets some wire cutters that we saw recently on Raw, and he cuts open the door. He heads outside. Eventually, as they fight out around the cell door, Orton takes advantage. He sees Drew is down. What does he do next? He begins to climb the cell. Drew then follows him. They're on the top of the cell. Commentators make a big deal out of this. Orton actually picks up a steel pipe that's on the roof somewhere. It's colored red, so maybe he did that before the show. Some big thinking there, Orton. Maybe Triple H taught him how to be cerebral like that. Bit of a back and forth. Orton does hit Drew with the pipe. I think it was kind of like a low blow with the pipe too, as Orton keeps Drew on the floor. As Orton sees Drew down, he begins to descend the cell over the announce table as Drew follows him. Bit of a striking contest on like the beam in like the middle of the cell structure. Orton does win, and Drew falls to the announce table and it breaks. It's a really gnarly looking bump there, and Drew, they look at Drew afterwards and he's bleeding from the mouth. He is like coughing, groaning in pain. So they saw it's like internal damage done to Drew. And what happens here, Orton sees him. He's very slowly drags Drew back to the ring like a dog, basically. He walks him back there, and then we are in the ring finally after like minutes and minutes of waiting, kind of milking it if you ask me. Orton sets up for the RKO. He does the traditional like punching the mat and everything. Drew does counter, surprisingly, and he goes for a backslide attempt. Orton kicks out of this one like a SummerSlam. Claymore to Orton. However, Orton rolls outside of the ring to save himself from a pinfall. Drew gets Orton's dead body. It takes a lot of time for him to do this. Sets up for another Claymore. Orton falls on his back to dodge it, hits an RKO, and that is the match. And Randy Orton is the brand new WWE champion. Very long and played out match. I'm gonna give it 4 stars out of 5. There was some really good action in this match. I like the stuff on the roof. I like the table bump. The finish was interesting, and there was a lot of like really brutal, methodical action in between. I just thought the match compared to the other two, it really dragged on a bit. I thought they milked a lot, mainly the stuff in the ending with the transition from the announce table spot to the in-ring finish. Like that was pretty like what, like an entire like TV match and then some, like that whole part right there. There was a lot to that if you ask me. I thought it was a bit much. If you're gonna sell Drew's injuries through the fall and everything like that, I think it's a good way to do it. But hey, good action, good storytelling. I thought it was I think it's one better as like maybe a middle of the show or opener if you ask me, but they did a good job finishing up the night with like a methodical, more strategic Hell in a Cell match. Bit surprised that we didn't see the Miz pop back up either during or after the match, seeing how much damage they went through, but Orton did leave like immediately when he won, so maybe he had an idea it was going to happen. So again, big brain moves by Randy Orton as he is now a 14-time WWE champion. Congrats to Orton, and hey, that is the main show. My final grade for WWE Hell in a Cell 2020 is going to be a B+. I thought the show was well put together, pretty well paced, and like, it wasn't that long, only a 3-hour show as usual. We've been seeing from these shows a lot. Some really good action in all 3 style matches. Some of the mid-card stuff is more so for storyline events, but like I'm a fan of the Tucker heel turn. I'm a fan of Miz being Money in the Bank again. I am a bit concerned for Retribution going forward, considering they've lost again. I don't know how they're going to rebound from this, but we'll see how it goes. There was some audio problems I think I heard between some of the stuff either on the kickoff show or some of the main show, but it wasn't like too bad. I think it worked out in the end. But hey, really good stuff here. My match of the night is gonna go to the Universal Championship match between Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Again, total package of a match, fantastic storytelling, fantastic character moments between Roman, Jey, and Jimmy, and I'm so excited to see what they go forward with from here as like more of like a reluctant faction working together. As they lost the stipulation, so now the Usos have to comply to what Roman says. Now he is the official head of the table. My MVP, well, he's done it again, everybody. The MVP is the reigning, defending Universal Champion, He is the head of the table, and our tribal chief, Roman Reigns, is once again the MVP of WWE pay-per-view. He has had another fantastic performance, as I just talked about with that match, and who knows what's going to be next for him. Will it be a whole new feud? Will he get ready for Survivor Series and get ready for either a title defense or a clash against Raw and NXT? We shall find out, and that is my review of WWE Hell in a Cell 2020. Coming up next for the channel, we are doing some coverage for New Japan Pro Wrestling Power Struggle and AEW Full Gear coming up in about, I think, 2 weeks time, a little less than 2 weeks. The Shoot Style Sauna podcast is currently in a weird situation. We're gonna try and work things out, get back to you guys very, very soon. In the meantime, stay tuned for our next review of AEW Full Gear and maybe some other coverage for other shows coming up. We have some stuff planned for November, so please stay tuned for that. So until next time, I'm Stel from the Shoot Style Sauna, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Thank you all for watching, and if you liked the video, hit subscribe and enable notifications. Take care, everyone.